Before we get started, this video is sponsored by FaB Foundry, one of the first Flesh and Blood specialized game stores in the world, a pillar of the local FaB community in Portland, Oregon, a world tour organizer, and my personal favorite LGS. FaB Foundry is your one-stop shop for all things FaB related, whether that's singles, sealed product, playmats, sleeves, dice and tokens, especially featuring products from Metal FaB and Thai cards. FaB Foundry also offers a rewards program, which you can use to get store credit back on all your purchases. So please go check out FaB Foundries, support our local community in Portland, and use our promo code FleshandBad for a discount on your next singles order.
Well, I mean, it's really only a tragedy if they die, you know? If they're just, like, mangled and stuff, then I think it's nothing. It's not anything.
Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today I want to play the aggro Jarl list that we saw from the Battle Hardens at Worlds. So this is going to be a very kind of different normal style from my normal Jarl videos, just because I tend to like the more fatigue-oriented decks a little bit. But I feel like there's a lot of merit to lists like this still. So this is going to be like a more kind of aggro-slated list. I think that this list is basically like the Syndra Slapper 2000, basically. You're running a lot of attacks that are able to make frostbites. You're running a lot of really good disruption. Lots of really important on hits. So I feel like this deck is probably a deck designed to basically beat Syndra. And I feel like that's probably why it ended up in the top 8. Just a really, really solid deck that has a lot of good stuff. A lot of cards that are kind of getting cut from the more fatigue-oriented list because they don't block, but they're super disruptive, especially in two decks that don't want to pitch and stuff. It's a really, really cool list. We're running stuff like Blizzard, we're running Icy Encounters, just a bunch of ways to make frostbites and also just kind of slow down your opponent. And then we're also just running the good hand disruption, Boulder Drop, Pummel, and then Ice Quakes as well, even for additional frostbites into Syndra and stuff. So a really, really cool list. I want to kind of give it a shot today. Again, also kind of built around cards like Rousey Ancients, so you're trying to go for the dream of 7 go again into maybe Boulder Drop or a CNC or something like that. But yeah, the list is basically just trying to be super aggressive. I'm kind of speculating on sideboard here again. If the deck author puts out a video, I'll try to link it in the description because again, I don't know how to sideboard. I'm just kind of guessing based on previous lists I've run, but I'm assuming that the sideboard looks a little bit something like this, maybe just shifting these cards in and out between matchups. But yeah, super cool list. Again, you kind of gain a lot of equity from this list of your opponents thinking you're one kind of style of Jarl, and then you're actually this completely different style of Jarl, which is really cool. But yeah, there's also a second Jarl list that I think was at the other Battle Harden. So I think this one was from the Revered Battle Harden. I think this one was in the Revile Battle Harden, which is kind of funny. It's kind of cute that they did that too. But yeah, this list is a lot more kind of the fatigue-oriented list, which we were a little bit more used to seeing. We'll probably try this list again at some point, maybe a couple weeks down the line or whatever. But this list is also really cool, has a lot of good merit as well. But again, I wanted to try the fun list. I know a lot of people have been craving the aggro Jarl content or whatever. And yeah, this list is really cool, especially if you're going into a field which is predominantly Syndra or a predominantly more redline decks like Assassin. I think this deck gets really good. Again, questions about maybe the Gravy matchup I think are probably the most concerning thing because I feel like good Gravies can maybe try to beat the Pummel game plan, but I still think there's maybe a lot of decent game plans that you can have here with the frozen nuts, the crumbles, and stuff like that. So I don't think Gravy's completely unwinnable or anything. I think that's maybe just one advantage of maybe the more fatigue style list is that your Gravy matchup is a little bit better. But yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and get into the game, see how it goes. Got a Marionette. Okay, what do I do against Marionette? I feel like going first is probably correct. Let's bring in. This might be more of a bad decking matchup. I kind of feel like I feel like all of these cards are kind of decent. Also, shave a little bit on maybe the icy encounters and just run a little bit more defensive. I think that maybe also. Let's actually also maybe bring in Summit plus Stalagmite and just see how that plays. Well, let's try this. Again, I'm doing my best guess at kind of guessing how to decide for this deck. Right, and how do I want to start here? It's not really any super clean way, I feel like, to just I almost just want to arsenal so we can do Ice Quake CNC on the next turn. Because there's not really a good arsenal target here, right? I think I'm actually just pitching into gauntlets. Actually, I think we're probably supposed to pitch the Ice Quake away for later and then just arsenal CNC here. A little bit of a mid-turn, but I think it's probably fine. Right, so coming in with the Clave. I'll just say no blocks. And is a little bit awkward here, but I guess we do still have some blocking potential. Right, opponent also might be representing like Kiss of Death or something here. I almost think we're okay with this hitting, so I'd almost rather let this Kiss hit and just mark. Opponent could also be trying to flick the clave, but if they do, then they're also going to be removing the mark. So I think I almost like just keeping it like this. The one downside, I guess, of Summit here is that we do have to like use our Stalagmite pretty aggressively early. I think here it's probably not worth just like throwing the shield in front of this because we do actually kind of want this to hit. Right here, I'm actually debating whether or not it's better to send the CNC here or just attack with Summit. I almost feel like card efficiency wise, it's better to just hold out for like our pummel and just swing with Summit first. I don't feel like too strongly about this, but like it does feel like getting our little point of Summit value might be a little bit more worth than just having sending CNC and having them block. Right, it's come to play. So it seems like a very red heavy hand, which means the Blizzard should actually be a pretty good punish here. So I think we probably are just going to go ahead and Blizzard this. We also Shelter here, but I think the Blizzard, given that they pitched 2 reds, is probably a little bit better. And then we could do like E-Strike into CNC, and that's pretty okay. That touch is an interesting. I have not actually seen a ton of this in Arakni lists. Oh, you know, one thing we should have done. We should have actually Blizzard before reactions here, right? Or we should have done it before block, so they don't have the opportunity to react here. It's a little bit on me. So in that case, okay, so I definitely punted here by not actually playing the Blizzard, but I guess in this case, as a backup, we can just go ahead and Shelter this. And it might end up being the same, especially if they just try to keep an Arsenal here. We'll see what they do. Most likely, it's just going to be either 0 for 3 or just Arsenal, and if they do go off an Arsenal, then we do have like potential just like block, play E-Strike or whatever. Okay, let's go for E-Strike goes. And then we can just follow up with the CNC, which should hopefully at least buy another card out of hand. Be a little bit aggressive here. Yeah, one important trick you can do with Blizzard is to do it before block so they don't get the chance to move to react. So I was kind of just also not expecting the scar tissue. Small pun, but it ended up working out kind of the same here. Actually, it arguably worked out better, right? Because I think under the Blizzard plan, we were planning on taking 1 damage, and because we actually got the Shelter, we actually got like 1 additional value, and then also got the no mark value. So it's actually kind of funny. Like it actually worked out better by using the Shelter there, which is a little bit funny. All right, found our pummel, which is nice. Unfortunately, the rest of our hand is kind of eh. Still debating how early I should be using this Stalagmite here. I don't really even want to block this. Like, I think my goal for this hand is to basically just go Rumble on Flick Knives, Arsenal, or like block with these 2 cards. In that case, I guess we just give up the Res now. They're probably gonna end up flicking us at some point this turn, which is fine. Oh, maybe give them like the opportunity. We maybe get like an opportunity here to like just go ahead and block with our Winter's Grasp, which we don't want to like play anyways. Fortunately, just 1 turn late on the pummel as well. There's a Spinneret. I was just gonna pass. This is so awkward. I guess we could theoretically pummel Winter's Grasp, but that's not incredibly exciting. And I guess we're also kind of disincentivized from keeping an Arsenal here. Is pummel Winter's Grasp actually the play? I think it kind of, this feels so bad, but I think it is actually the play. Kind of wild. Then also just like Block the Pummel and Arsenal, and then like get priced into using the Crown of Province this turn. Not super exciting though. Rather just like take them off cards in hand if I can help it. Again, this style of Jarl is like a little bit different from the kind I think I normally play. Go ahead and pummel this. Again, I'm not super thrilled with this, but it's probably fine. I don't know if there's actually even like a better play we could have done. The Rouse draw, I think, with the Witch's Grasp plus Crumble was definitely a little awkward. 8 damage plus on hit, I guess, is like kind of on rate-ish, I guess, because we're at least getting the discard. But otherwise, not very exciting. There's an Oakenold. All right, we do know how to play this card, at least. Unfortunately, we did, I think, just pitch our Crumble, so we got 3 other hits in the deck for this. So I think this might be more of a block out, play Shelter, Arsenal, Open type turn. No reason to block Calicera, though. Right, just gonna Scar Tissue, which is fine by us. Could have actually sheltered that, but because it's Calicera, I'm like less than thrilled about trying to block it. So this could also still be the Tarantula Toxin. You know, if we actually Stalagmite this, they can still Tarantula Toxin by pitching a red, but it becomes like a lot more awkward. So I think this actually might be a decent opportunity to just go ahead and use our Stalagmite plus Shelter here, send a Boulder Drop on our turn. I don't mind this play. They could still definitely like shred the Stalagmite here, but they're still having like give us a card in hand to do that. So I at least like this Stalagmite here. Maybe want to do something else. Maybe they do have like a reaction here. Yeah, if they do go for the shred or like a funnel web or whatever, then we can shelter it. Hope the frostbite is at least a little bit annoying here. All right, now I'm debating whether or not to even shelter this. I almost think probably fine to shelter this, right? Just reacted, so in case they do want to follow, I guess they did pass priority, so they don't want to funnel up, but we probably just do want to get the card out of hand to filter towards Oakenold a little bit faster. No, I guess there's no reason to actually try to take like 2 damage there. All right, flipping back into the normal Mario. All right, Boulder Drop should at least maybe buy either like Tunic or Mask or 2 cards from hand. Maybe they don't want to give up armor because we're Jarl, obviously, so like the Frostbites might start to get annoying. So kind of expect me like 2 cards here, and then they're gonna play like 3-card hand or something. They do have the mark already on us, which is pretty good for them. We haven't also used a ton of armor this game. We did use a Stalagmite charge, which I think is pretty good, but like still have a decent amount of fridge to work. I will say like this style of Jarl is definitely like a lot more fun to play, I think, than like the fatigue style Jarl. The fatigue style Jarl is kind of like a little bit of like a snooze fest, but this does definitely feel like I'm not just like blocking every hand, which is kind of nice. Okay. So what does this hand want us to do? Maybe gonna block like Oakenold Gloves or something like that. You can pretty much get the Sacred Bloodshed trigger whenever they want. But if we do block here, it actually makes it really awkward for them to do this. Like, honestly, our best play this turn might be just trying to like either play out the CLF or play out the winner's fight, and maybe blocking 6 like this. If they do go for the Tarantula Toxin and draw a card, that's also like kind of an acceptable fail state. If they also want to draw the card and like flick the Hunter's Clave at us, I think that's also pretty good for us. So I think I'm kind of fine just like blocking this. And if they have like a react or something and they draw a card, that I think is And last scar tissue, lots of scar tissue. Or maybe we just saw all three of the red ones. That's fine. All right, so they're gonna draw a card here, but they're pretty much always gonna be able to draw a card this turn. Again, they might not even draw anything good here, which means our CLF might get a bit better. Black Widow is definitely annoying, though. I feel like the play is probably CLF. There's nothing we can really do with like the Winter's Bite. This is basically just a better Winter's Bite for the most part against Arakni. All right, we do have the Crumble plus Oakenol. The only problem is obviously the mark here. Okay, and they do have a blue as well, so this turn is going to be pretty solid from them. So they can, obviously what we're afraid about is basically they pump Black Widow on this, and then we're going to discard. So we're probably actually not going to be able to keep most of this hand, I feel like. So if we do this, we could actually Stalagmite here and just make it even more annoying. But they already have to kind of give us a card to pump into the Black Widow. So maybe the block is something like this. Something like block 8 here, because they have the plus. They want to do the Black Widow this turn, which means that's going to demand a card from hand. And then they also need a react in Arsenal, which they might have, given that they just passed last turn. I think this makes the most amount of sense. Again, we still might end up having to block with these two cards just because they might be able to flick the Closera on the next chain link. But I think this is probably the best block we have. Ooh, to the point's a pretty good. 0 for 4 is pretty nice. And they also were going to be able to Black Widow here if they want to. Okay, they're going to skip the Black Widow, though. Interesting. Oh, to go for a Codex? Okay, I suppose that makes sense. What do they have that they can... They can't play that, though. Because it's, You can only play, like, a 0 cost. Because it's Codex, right? Oh, interesting play here from our opponent. I don't even think they play a 0 cost, right? Because they just need a pass. So what did they get? They got a okay, so they still got a Death Touch. That makes kind of sense. So I guess now let's go for the Oakenhold, and we could probably just tuck away our arsenal with the Crown of Province and try to keep like a 5-card hand next turn. This is also going to be pretty painful for them if they want to de-react, because we do have the CLF on board. So we should be stripping their hand pretty heavily here. It's actually been a lot of fun. This is a kind of a banger of a list. I feel like our draws haven't even been like anything really like our draws have been pretty bad if I think about it really. Like we had the E-Strike CNC turn, which I guess was pretty good. We pummeled a Winter's Grasp. We just like played a normal Boulder Drop, and then I guess we just played out a seal. Like those aren't like super crazy Jarl things or anything, but like we're still like in a pretty advantageous position, which is kind of funny. Right, seems like we might just get a couple cards out of them here. Get them down to 1 card, which is nice. I think given that we've already seen 1 Oakenhold, we have 1 left in the deck, I'm kind of fine just like arsening this Crumble so we can tuck it away with CNC if we need to. Right, find a Pummel. They do still have that Death Touch. So, funny thing we can do here is we could theoretically Stalagmite this, which would still pump it, but then they'd have to use Tunic to play the Death Touch, which I don't think is worth. I feel like maybe the best thing we can do here is maybe just try to sink the Crown of Providence on the Death Touch and just let them hit with it to clear the mark. This seems like the best thing. If they just pass here, what happens? Be like Winter's Bite, Rumble. Well, that's not very exciting. They are actually supposed to like Crown of Providence on this. And then they go for Death Touch. We're fine with that. Yeah, let's maybe actually, because I don't want them to just like pass with the Death Touch is my concern. Let's actually go ahead and give them the Crown of Province here, since we know exactly what's in their arsenal. And now you can just like pummel like a Cranial Crush or something. Or alternatively, you can like Winter's Bite, play the Cranial Crush, which is not super disruptive against Marionette normally. So another option could actually like give up on the Stalagmite, send Summit, and then the problem is like the Death Touch. They might give us an inertia here. I think I'm just gonna keep the whole hand and say fuck it. Let's see what happens. So they give us 6. If they give us like a Blood Rot, we can pay for it. If they, I feel like most likely it's inertia here, but I'm not sure. Okay, so they're gonna go for the inertia. That makes sense. So like the downside there, if we like block, I guess we could block like Summit for 4, but still not very exciting. I don't know. A little bit of an awkward hand. I feel like our pummel targets have not been like amazing. We should be able to at least kind of get them here. So because of the inertia, we're going to have to just use the pummel this turn. And if our opponent's smart, they might actually just throw their entire hand in front of this. So if they know the pummel is coming. But we'll see. All right, we'll go and go for it. So I don't think even with double D-React here they can cover this. They would need something else. Okay, so we get the pummel trigger at least, which is nice. We're at a pretty good spot, although in this matchup I feel like they can definitely change very, very fast. Marionette is just capable of doing like so much damage. So I don't feel like quite out of the woods yet, but we do probably want to try to use our last charge of Stalagmite. I feel like maybe there was an opportunity to use it like a little bit earlier though. I don't know. So awkward to like, I don't know. The only issue I have, the issue I've like historically had with Summit, right, is that like it kind of like forces you to use Stalagmite in positions where you otherwise like wouldn't want to use Stalagmite, which is kind of awkward. Like even here, I don't really want to use Stalagmite, right? Because I like don't want to just like throw it in front of the dagger. I think we're just gonna let this hit. Our hand's actually pretty good. So we have a couple options we could do next turn. We could either E-Strike into Mangle just for 8, which is 13 damage, which is pretty good. Or alternatively, okay, they're gonna go for the Mark of the Black Widow. So this is just face up 4. I guess in this case, what if we just get our summon online? Like, I don't love this. Like, I almost rather... Well, I guess the gauntlets is kind of like what we're going to do on our next hand, right? So I guess we might as well just, like, block 4 on this. Yeah, I guess in this case, it's, like, strictly better to keep the gauntlets. Just to send it for 10. Oh, okay. Turns out we have a fan in the chat. Well, hello, Abbott. It was a pleasure playing with you. A little bit late where I am, so I'm kind of like a bit tired towards the end of the day. I took like a big nap, so maybe I'm not at my usual energy level, but I feel like we're doing pretty okay this game. This deck is like surprisingly okay. All right, let's go ahead and do gauntlets and then just send in the Mangle. They did get the trap door off, which means they're probably going to be at least able to cover 6 of this. Right, maybe only 5 if they're just going to block the pickup point. All right, so they do have the inertia, but fortunately we're not keeping an arsenal here, which is kind of nice. I feel like we've been dodging the inertia tokens pretty well, actually, so far. They do also get the incidental value of blowing up the black text there, which is quite nice. It's kind of funny that I think on a release, I initially thought like Trapdoor was like one of the better Arachnes you can flip into just because you get like the 0 for 3 value, right? You don't have to like pay anything for it, but I actually think it's like probably one of the weaker ones. I don't know. It still feels like one of the weaker ones to me, which is kind of funny. Okay. Abbott saying it's okay to show the video. I appreciate that, Abbott. Ooh, we got like a nice little like ice quake into Summit. Alright. Starting off on the Calicera here. I think we're just gonna take the damage here. Again, I try not to block Calicera just because like anything that's a stealth dagger in Mario always has the risk of being Tarantula Toxin, which is one of their highest value plays, basically. And the way you can kind of like mitigate a lot of the Tarantula Toxin values just by not blocking anything that says stealth or dagger. It's basically like advice for pretty much any deck, I think, or any deck that like wants to try to block against Mario is like don't block anything that says stealth dagger. All right, so we do have to be a little bit concerned about CNC here, but fortunately we still don't have a Leave No in Arsenal, which is actually quite nice. They do potentially have Tunic plus Death Touch. I think here we're probably just going to end up taking a bit of damage. Again, we are probably overdue for a second Codex, but if they don't have it here, it's actually quite nice for us. So if it is Codex, what are we doing? Okay, no Codex, which is at least nice. So in this case, I think I'm pulling Tunic to Icequake. And then just sending Summit for 6 with on hit 2 extra Frostbites, I guess, which is pretty good. And then we can like Arsenal Tear just as a tempo play next turn. Notably, they are almost kind of dead. So like they do kind of have to block, but also kind of they don't really want to block either. I don't know, it definitely feels like a little bit of an awkward position for them. Frostbites are doing quite a bit of work though in Mario, which I guess is like kind of a bit more of like a red line deck. Like I think there are some yellows and blues in here, but I feel like the blue count's not necessarily like super high. It looks like they're gonna go for the mask here. Probably just gonna turn into Black Widow or something. Makes sense to me. We will get an extra Frostbite on here though. It's only one Frostbite. I did forget that we already gave them a Frostbite on the leg, so we're only getting one there. 2 Frostbites is still like pretty decent though. Okay, pretty decent hand if we can manage to keep it. The only issue is keeping it, obviously. So I think more likely than not here, we're just going to try to like block Pummel plus Mangle. I did have to pitch the full Knives Out there as well. So like the play that we're like most scared of here is they go for like they go for Black Widow pump discard, so they can pump 4 here. So I guess the play here is to block 4 like this. That being said, if it's like Tarantula Toxin and Arsenal plus a Assassin card, then we're obviously gonna have to discard a card. But then there's no like follow up. So I think we're actually gonna just block 4 here because they're incentivized to want to try to pay into the Calicera or like to put the Black Widow trigger on the Calicera, right? Looks like they might have another attack here as like follow up though. All right, Leave No is a pretty decent one to follow up with. So it's awkward here. Could actually just let the Arsenal go, which is probably the best play here. Just send Boulder Drop on our turn, take the damage. They can actually get no, they can't get another 0 for 3 here. Yeah, I feel like maybe our best play is to actually just let the Terra Sunder go. I feel like there's also maybe an opportunity in this game to like quick dodge on a better turn, maybe. We are getting like pretty low, or at least in kind of the kill range. I think it's kind of okay to just take a little bit of damage there. We are going to take them off, presumably 2 cards here, maybe just 1 if they want to give up like Flick or Tunic or something. They're playing this like pretty well though. I think the second Black Widow is a little bit rough for us, I think. What threats do we still have to worry about? We have like a Stains left, we have 2 Saber Bloodsheds, presumably 2 more Pain in the Backsides, like 1 more Mark of the Black Widow. Alright, we do get 2 cards out of them here, which is really nice. So blocking with a second Leave No and a Pain in the Backside. We're still definitely a little bit worried about Codex, but we do now have an Arsenal, which is at least nice. I think this might end up just being the quick dodge turn just to kind of stave off a little bit of damage. It feels so awkward though. Yeah, I guess it still is because we want to turn one of our 2 blocks probably into a little bit more than a 2 block, ideally. If we can also like force them to flick the clave, we're in a pretty decent spot as well. Go ahead and pitch like a rouse here. Like this doesn't feel like super efficient, but we are technically getting up to potentially an additional 2 block or 4 block out of this. Right, following up with the CNC. I think in this case we're just letting the pummel go. Like I kind of want to just like winner's bite CNC quick dodge this. We'll go to 4, so we go to 7. And then we should be stripping a card out of their hand and taking the tempo pretty hard. Let's go ahead and take the damage here and then just quick dodge this. Definitely a really good timed CNC here. I think I maybe even got like a little bit aggressive trying to want to my stalagmite here because I feel like a stalagmite on one of these like past couple turns would have actually been quite nice. But I feel like we did get like decent value out of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm overanalyzing that just a little bit. CNC should hopefully be a bit rough for them, especially on the back of a frostbite. We'll see. All right, going to pitch a stains here. Maybe means they want to try to hold on to like a blue in hand to kind of like play out their turn. I feel like we got them like pretty low, but then just the disruption started adding up. I felt like we weren't really able to like fully push through that last little bit of damage. It seems like we might actually be getting another 2 block out of them here. I feel like every time I've attacked with a CNC or something, we just they've had a lot of 2 blocks in hand, which is kind of fortunate for us. This hopefully should be kind of a time walk here, though. They could obviously like have a blue in hand, pitch to like clave or whatever. There's definitely some stuff they can do here. All right, just coming with the Kiss of Death. I guess they can like flick a Callista on the back of this as well. So what's the play? We could actually just take the full 4, go down to. So all right, how do I do the math here? So we take the 4, or no, we take 4. They get going off this because they flick the clave, right? Flick clave, so that's +1 additional damage, and then they attack with the Callista on the back, which would be. This would not get +1. So we're looking at 5 damage here, plus an addition, so we go to 1. If we want to try to keep the full hand. I feel like maybe a more reasonable line is to just go for this E-Strike Arsenal Oaken or something. Is that more reasonable? Maybe we're just supposed to take this. Maybe I'm supposed to let them have this and then just like block with Tunic or something, just so we can like keep forcing cards out of hand. They do have a lot of 2 blocks in their deck, so maybe like giving them extra space is not actually to our advantage. So they block here, they hit. We go to 1, I think. Yes, we go to 1. And then we can go ahead and just block with the Tunic here. And then go for 7. This is like a pretty greedy line, but I do want to try to just go for the kill. Because right now we can do like 5 here, which should at least force 2 cards out of hand, and then we can do 7. Maybe this is greedy, but I do also feel like leaving them with like a 2-card hand could potentially be quite scary, because then we're getting to the point where we're going to have to like overblock and stuff. They don't love. This is more an informed play based on the number of 2 blocks they have in their deck that they're probably going to have to like block out and then also potentially still leak some damage. Maybe a little bit greedy though. I guess it gets punished by like double 0 for 4 D-React, but we also haven't seen a ton of those either. All right, so they go to 1 now, and now we get full tempo and they're not able to swing dagger. Unfortunately, what we're able to do with the full tempo is awkward. I guess it's just Thunderquake. Oh, they can probably fucking kill us though. Maybe that's a punt on my end. Maybe we got a little bit too greedy with taking the damage and thinking that we are going to be able to like follow up with some good damage. I guess here we're still sending the Quake though, right? I think this is just lethal. Or no, they can't. So sorry, they need an attack that they could play from hand. Kill us here, I think. If they have any attack that they can just put on the combat chain and then flick, because they can't flick a dagger that's already on the combat chain, right? So it has to be some zero cost attack that they have to have in hand, which I think they still have a decent number of left in the deck. They have like Persuasive, Pain in the Backside, pick up the points. Yeah, maybe a small punt on my end. Maybe we got a little bit too greedy there. Okay, we do have the shelter. Okay, wait. Maybe I spoke too soon. Okay, they're just gonna equip the second Clisser though. Okay, that guess makes sense. They're just not really wait for them to like attack profitably there. Okay, so this is awkward again. I guess we're just doing Ice Quake for 10. Going off the shelter feels so suspect though, but I think it's right. Just keep trying to keep them off cards. This feels so awkward. I don't know if I punted this game. This game is like stressful. I hope it's not stressful to watch. Oh god. I think conceptually this should buy every card in their hand though, because the Frostbite should be pretty annoying. So you time lock them again. All right, Macho should get there. Okay, holy crap. I feel like I almost punted that game, but maybe I did still kind of make the right choice. Like, I think there are a couple points in the game where I was like sending a bit of crap damage and kind of just hoping something stuck. GG's, Abbott. Abbott says hi to YouTube, so if you're a YouTuber watching this, Abbott specifically has that message for you. All right. Hopefully we get here. Unless there's like some 0 for 4 reaction. Okay. Barely got there. I think, I don't know. I feel like I punted at some point down the line that game. But we got there. Close enough, right? Abbott, you played that game very well, so thank you again for the game on the channel. Let's see if we can get one more. All right, it's playing against a Kassai. So let's go second in this matchup. I think this is a fist matchup just because I think we need to clear the allies, right? So unfortunately for you Summit enjoyers out there, we're probably going to still be off Summit. I think it's probably not a Zealous matchup just because we don't probably need, like, we could use them to clear allies, but I feel like maybe we're just doing everything but the Zealous again. Let's try like this, see how it goes. All right, we got the Jarl mirror. I always think that the little bug is funny. Right off the draw source. Our opponent has definitely come prepared with the fat deck here. I think we just want to try to out aggro them. Like, we're going to try to be the aggressor, I think, in this matchup. See how well that works out for us, though. Maybe since they're fat decking, their overall numbers are going to be a little bit worse, which is maybe my hope here. So let's try to hold on to, I think, the Ice Quake here. Maybe just give 6 block like this, and then block on the next chain link. Depends, obviously, what they have. I think I'm fine to get. I kind of want to hold on to the Ice Quake, but I'm not sure if it's worth the extra damage. So let's go ahead and just hold on to the Ice Quake, though. I think I still kind of like that. They nourishing me here. It's obviously not great. All right, they don't have it. Hopefully, cool. What is our follow-up? Okay, this is not very impressive, but maybe at least the on-hit Frostbite will be a little bit. I'm not super hopeful here. I feel like we had a little more offense on the first hand, but then had a hand that kind of just sent 6 damage. So I'm actually not sure what weapon you want in this matchup. My logic for Titan's Fist was that I want to be able to ideally just try to clear allies when they play them out. We'll see if that ends up actually being good. All right, take it on the chin plus shelter seems pretty decent. And it's still a little awkward here. I think I'm trying to sit on the shelter for as long as I can for the what's it called? The Blood Falls Blade. I think here maybe we're just gonna give up a little bit of block to send either Boulder Drop or Icy Encounter. I feel like maybe sending, yeah. Not sure which one of these is better to actually send here. Okay, then I guess we can block with the Icy Encounter, just send the Boulder Drop and keep the Crumble in the deck. I think this seems fine. Shelter also insulates us against like Nourishing, which is nice. Just keep taking the value line here. There is also probably an argument to just like blocking with the Boulder Drop on the last chain link and then setting up the Crumble. But this feels a little bit better, at least fatigue wise, I feel like. All right, get a couple little blocks out of them. All right, unfortunately, we're just a little bit off with our Oakenhold. Yeah, some of these hands have just been so awkward. It's like very defensive. I guess maybe we're gonna just try to like now pivot off holding the D-React in Arsenal. Could also end up giving the Stalagmite here. I think maybe we're just supposed to like give up Arouse. It feels so awkward though. Maybe actually just give up Underquake instead and then just like double D-React or whatever. Not super thrilled with this. We could also pitch our Oaken for later if we wanted to, but I feel like getting the 0 for 4 value here is like probably decent enough. Go ahead and just make sure we're converting, get our 4 value, or 3 value if you really think about it from Titan's Fist, and then just Arsenal or Oaken for hopefully one of our other Ice Earth cards. We still have 3 in the deck, so should be more likely than not to draw into one of them in the next couple turns. We'll see. Did fat deck, I think, a little bit in this matchup. So curious to see how this works out. I do miss all my 4 blocks and Sludge value, I guess. Okay, still no Ice Earth, but that's fine. We do have Icequake into Mangle potentially, but the Mangle is probably not even going to end up doing it work. Maybe the better play is to just like, almost feels like Bloodfall's Blade, doesn't it? I almost want to just like give the first charge of Stalagmite here with the idea that maybe if they have like Blade Flurry, we can like quick dodge this. Maybe that's like the best play. Let's see how it works out for us. Yeah, I'll maybe try to slow them down a little bit here. All right, so they did have the Bloodfall's Blade. Let's see if they have the attack action to follow it up. All right, no follow-up, which they did at least correctly call the Bloodfall's Blade. I was kind of expecting them to do something else because normally like you don't just want to like get the go again off this. It's kind of like low-ish value. They do also get the double sword swing here as well. What happens if we just like Icequake Mangle on the next turn? It's okay. Not like the worst thing in the world, but I feel like we could definitely do a little bit better. Maybe not though. Maybe we're just sending 11 at them. They have another Bloodfall's Blade. I guess that's kind of funny. Okay, they have another one. That's fine. We could quick dodge this if we wanted to, but I feel like they're actually even pretty likely to pump this. We could try to go for the quick dodge. I don't think it's necessarily wrong. You just pitch the Frozen to death here. We could have actually sent the Mangle with Dominate, which I guess would be a little bit better. A is better to actually pitch the Ice Pick here. Kind of halfway expecting them to do something else. Okay, so I think it makes sense here. I think this kind of actually ended up working out for us. So now we get to go like Gauntlets block this and then quick dodge the rest of it. Okay, so that was like actually kind of fine. I don't know if on paper that play was actually good, but at least in outcomes that was a decent play. All right, this is just going to be an 8 value Mangle, but I think we still got to send it here. Not incredibly exciting, but gets the job done. We're kind of doing actually surprisingly okay on fatigue. At least it seems like. Not doing too bad. Like we're down like 8 cards, like 4 or 5 or something like that. Or is it 8? Or it's 8. It's like a decent amount, I guess. Let's just try to kill them. Maybe that's our strat. Just CNC pummel them to death. What are they going to do? Alright, still no Ice Earth, but that's fine. We do have the Unforgetting, Unforgiving for the Mangle Tutor right now. We only have 1 left in the deck, though. I feel like our blocks are probably just going to be Unforgetting plus CNC this turn. Seems good. There's the last Bloodfall Blaze, so we don't have to be scared of that anymore. Yeah, the Quick Dodge ended up actually doing quite a bit of work that turn. It's exciting. All right, let's get our last Mangle. Oh, how I missed you, Mangle. Yeah, the Blade Flurry, that's fine. Theoretically, we could have Blizzarded this, but I think I'm just priced into it. You guys sent the Mangle for 8 if we just didn't care about the Dominate, which is maybe reasonable, honestly. We're still getting a decent amount of value just blocking with the CNC, though. Alright, one of these days we're going to find one of our Ice Earth fusions, and then we're going to be super happy. Mangle for 8's nothing too bad, though, and we do at least threaten their Balance of Justice for whatever that's worth. I guess, like, this doesn't actually do anything in this matchup, right? But if we do break their head, it does mean that we can start getting Frostbites, which is pretty relevant. Like, they might end up having to give us also, like, a Brave Forge or, like, a D-React here. Okay, they have a Fate Foreseen. Makes sense to me. We haven't really seen a ton of reacts out of them yet. Yeah, we saw the Shelter, I guess, but not much else. Okay, so they get the full cover on this. That's fine. Eventually, at some point, we're going to find some Oakenold fusing action. Not today, though. This is probably block 3 with Frozen, E-Strike, Macho or something. Could actually potentially get them here with the Stalagmite if we want to throw that in front of this as well. I don't think it's a terrible Stalagmite because it does mean we're potentially blocking out their Copper. Okay, actually, it's probably not a great Stalagmite here. Just because they already have the Hot Streak value on top of this as well. What we could do is we can actually throw the Crown of Providence on top of the other Chain Link if we want. We might just be getting the gold here, though. Ooh, Iron Song Pride, okay. I think we were talking about this card earlier. I think this might be like Shoma's List or something. I think there's like a spicy one of Iron Song Pride. I guess it's pretty like decent here. Go ahead and block with the Macho then in this case. So they do get the gold this turn, that's fine. We'll go ahead and just like E-Strike the Oaken on the bottom. Not the worst set of reactions in the world. Like the Iron Song will. The beginning around phase of Sword has not hit. So they do get to keep this counter around for another turn. I guess a little bit awkward. Yeah, maybe that song is actually kind of bad for us. Like maybe we need to just start blocking out. Having the additional counter is definitely a bit scary. Definitely depends how much they're going to be able to hit with this again. All right, we do have the way, I guess, to now clear that counter. So we can E-Strike. Can't do everything this hand. So what is the play? We E-Strike, block E-Strike, or something like that? All right, so their hand is basically face up at this point. So they have plus. This is going to be coming in for 8. Definitely annoying. I guess the question is whether or not we should be concerned about taking this. Like getting them the copper here feels so rough. So it's going to be 8 into another 2, and then we reset the counter. On the alternative thing, we could just hit him with the Oakenold. I mean, I do like that play on top of this, but keeping this counter around is definitely probably wrong. I don't want to like just give him the full hand here. What if we just said no blocks here? I think that would be funny. Well, let's get aggressive here. I think it's maybe like I don't want this game going too long because they do have like more cards in deck than us. Like if they eventually find the Raisin army, then we're in bad shape. I think like disruption is actually probably going to be a better path to victory here. Now it seems like they're even getting a little bit greedy here, going for like Kassai activation on Hot Streak, which we can like pretty easily just block with. Yep, let's go and just give them a 3-block here. I feel like that Kassai activation was like, if they want to do the Kassai, they probably should have done it on the first one, right? Because like, I feel like I'm pretty incentivized to just want to give them a 3-block there. This hopefully should disrupt them pretty heavily here, though. And then we can just also arsenal the crumble for Crown of Providence purposes. All right, Oaken for 12. All right, please connect, Oaken. I'm gonna need you to do some work here. I think this is our path to getting rid of that Iron Sung Pride. Hopefully should be pretty decent. All right, just giving some armor blocks here. It does have Dominate, so he can't double react this. The unfortunate thing about a lot of their armor here is there's no Blade Breaker Temper. So all their armor is kind of sticking around until we find... I guess we already found all our Mangles. I guess we could find like a Frozen to Death at some point, but then maybe it's still also pretty slow. So it might just not be a game where we're going to be able to get a ton of Frostbites off. Okay, they're just going to discard the Shelter here for 1. Okay, maybe they wanted to like try to double react it or something. Maybe they think it was Overpower. I wouldn't be caught dead playing Overpower Hero, though. Alright, this should hopefully help us clear that Iron Song. We're doing okay here. Again, still kind of in a little bit of an awkward spot. This hand is especially nothing to really write home about. They're attacking us here, though. That's really good for us, I think. You have to pitch that card to then swing. So now we have to figure out what we're doing. Unironically, maybe since we don't have any Mangles left in the deck, I think I'm just giving the rest of this armor so we can sink that Crumble back into the deck. And just try to find a little bit more action so we can maybe like pummel the Cranial Crush here or something. Actually here, what we can do is try to blow up their Dynamos. Actually, probably a better play. I think I'm also going to overpitch that Unforgetting just so that we can dig like a little bit deeper. But getting rid of the Dynamos is definitely like pretty high value, I'd say. Ooh, now we have pummeled Oakenold. Okay, we're in this, I think. I need them to not find like Raisin Army, obviously. But I feel like that was pretty high value from us. So they are drawing a card off the Gorg Tome. They don't have Bloodfall's Blade, so this is most likely just some kind of go again. We could actually pump the push the damage here with these Stalagmite, like force them to do something else. Because they might want to try to be like a bit more red line here if they draw a card. Yeah, let's make them pitch a card. I think this is a fine Stalagmite, especially given the Sink Below pitch here. Try to be annoying, I think, is my core game plan here. Be annoying and then be aggressive. Ooh, this was really good for us. Oh, yeah. If they're super greedy again, they might go for another. Okay, they don't have Kassai activations. They can't actually go for. I feel like that was pretty decent value for us. All right, let's go for another nice little clean Oakenold here with a pommel on top of it. Can't complain about that. This is going actually surprisingly well. Like, it actually feels like this might actually be a little bit better into Kassai because they're normally expecting more of the fatigue style Jarl as opposed to like aggro Jarl. So maybe this is actually doing like a little bit better in this scenario. Like, I feel like that's like the advantage of decks like this is that your opponent is expecting you to play like the fat decks fatigue style of Jarl, and then you just end up hitting them in the face with a pummeled Oakenold, right? That's just pretty fun. Oh, we discarded their Ataya too. That's kind of funny. Don't mind if I do. Okay. What are we doing here? We can E-Strike into Glacial, but we can't dominate it. Is there an alternate game plan? I feel like it's still like our best play though. Could go again 8. Could also Winter's Bite Glacial since they don't have Tunic up and just send the Titan's Fist instead. It's less damage, but it's actually probably more tempo swing. And then we just get to sit on the Blizzard Arsenal. And then send an additional 4 here, which is pretty reasonable. And we're doing a good job tempoing them, which is at least nice. And the boots out of the way is actually a super big deal. They will, for what it's worth, have Tunic here, but they do still have to probably pitch a card, or they maybe are just going to like Arsenal Pass or something. Right, just going to go for the Hot Streak here instead. Interesting. Maybe they just didn't want to Arsenal or whatever. Fortunately, we still can't really safely tear asunder here. Maybe we can. They have 1 point armor block. Problem is the D-Reacts, I guess, right? I guess if they D-React, then they're still having to like pitch to the Frostbite anyways, so maybe it's like fine. Let's definitely Winter's Bite and then just see what they do. They might just like Tunic this, which I'm also kind of okay with. If we're stressing their Tunic, then I think that's reasonable as well. All right, pitching a red here. So I think we will actually now just go for the tear. Kind of a weak tear, but probably will get the job done. If they also want to like give us like a 3-block here, they're gonna have to like go off an Arsenal again, which means that we're still like keeping the tempo pretty hard here. So going pretty well actually, and then we also get the double discard here. Looks like not too bad. They did discard 2 yellows, which is I guess a little bit concerning. Fortunate. So Tunic here does not help us. Awkward. Unfortunate little set of draws here. Could actually just pull the Tunic and then do that. Would let us like hold on to both of these cards, which is kind of interesting. What if we just like pull Tunic, Icy Encountered, and then hope to draw into at least 1 blue next turn and then just rip the whole hand? I think that's pretty reasonable, especially since we're going with the Icy Encounter here. Like, I kind of want to just like IP with both of these, but I also want to like play out a card to just try to draw any blue. Because any blue basically unlocks this entire hand next turn. One funny thing also, this is like a funny trick you can, I guess, do with Blizzard, but you can Blizzard your own attack just to give your opponent a Frostbite, I think. Which is a thing we could do if we want to just clear it out of Arsenal, but I think Blizzard is like a decent enough threat that we probably want to just hold on to it, even though it's like making our next turn probably a little bit awkward. If we didn't give them a Frostbite there, I'd probably do that, though, just because like Frostbite is a decent amount of value for stressing their Tunic. All right, well, our hand's perfect now for the CNC Pummel. And if they try to give this go again, we can obviously Blizzard it. If they don't give it go again, then we're fine, just letting it hit. And we are doing a really good job, at least on the tempo front this game. We still are kind of losing on fatigue, but we're hoping that fatigue is not going to be a thing that matters, really. Oh, this is also another funny thing we could do. We could Blizzard our own attack here, but they do have the Tunic counter, so giving them the Frostbite here is probably not worth just like losing a full card. That is a funny thing you can do though to like prevent them from like double like reacting or whatever. Probably have to like just give us the full hand here, or maybe they're just gonna accept the pummel. We also have like prevention, like Oasis or something. I think Shoma's list was running like 2 Oasis if I remember correctly from our stream. Okay, yeah, another Oasis. Fine. Oasis still functionally lets us get rid of a card from them. And still a bit awkward. Might just end up sheltering here for value and like pummeling a Titan's Fist and see if they can deal with that. Alright, pitching the heart here. So we could prevent them from doing another swing with the hot streak here if we wanted to, which I think is somewhat reasonable. So let's go ahead and just do this. So only coming in for 2, and then how many CNCs do we have? We have 1 CNC left in the deck. We have 1 Oaken. Couple more. We have 1 more Icy Encounter, 1 more Boulder Drop. I feel like we just need an Arsenal to pummel as kind of our priority here. Maybe we're just overpitching the Shelter for later. I think that's probably fine. I think I want to just try to draw towards a threat to pummel them. Try to keep up the tempo pretty heavily because this hand we're kind of basically taking the turn off. Or we're just only sending Fist here, which is not very disruptive. And yeah, we're definitely still in trouble if they make it back around to their Raisin army, which I'm a little bit concerned about. You still will probably have a couple more reacts in the deck though. Like we still have probably a full set of sinks. Maybe a decent number of shelters as well. I think Shoma's list from what I remember was like some pretty D-react heavy, at least based on what I saw. I think were we running 9 D-reacts? We might have been. We're gonna try to just pummel them to death here. Hope it's good enough, but Raisin Army would definitely be pretty problematic here. All right, they're pitching a Raisin Army, maybe thinking, or they either, okay, so this is concerning because they either have a second one or they have, because we saw one pitch like pretty early, so they either have a second one or they're going to do something that's even better than a Raisin Army, both of which don't seem great for us. Let's go ahead and block with, I guess, the Thunderquake here. I still don't think we're back around to that Blood Flawless Blade yet, so don't really have to worry about the on-hit. They're probably going to get the Kassai Gold anyways this turn. But yeah, I think I'm just going to try to block with the Winter's Grasp and the, or just the Winter's Grasp here. Because we're not being able to block out the gold, it doesn't really matter like when they hit, right? We're just trying to soak up as much damage as possible. And now you have Tunic plus a pummel target too, which is also quite nice. And the nice thing here is that since they don't have Tunic up, the Icy Encounter Frostbite is pretty relevant in case they have like a react or something. All right, we're gonna go for it here. And if they have reacts, they have reacts. But I think it's still worth it to try to at least try to resolve the pummel if they're saying no blocks. All right, so I'm going to pitch a yellow here, which is nice. So they have 4 prevention on this, and then they need like 2 other D-reacts or something like that. So these I think are last pummel though. So it might be a little bit hard to get the rest of that damage through. The nice thing here is because they actually use the Oasis here, they do get another frostbite from the or no, sorry, they're always gonna get the other frostbite, right? Because the icing counter hit. This is so bad. I guess we can like boulder drop, hold the crumble in hand, but this is not very exciting. It is just a little bit of a tough matchup. Like even if you're doing like the fatigue plan, I feel like feels a bit better. But like the problem is that I feel like some of these Kassai lists are just running so many D-reacts, it's hard to like really push through a lot of your hits. And like they've just been getting like a ton of like incremental value just from like the 9 D-react deck, basically. And we do have our rouse here. Still a little bit awkward. Blood on our hands is also, it's not that scary. They only have 2 copper. I think we did like an okay job this game. But just like direct pile is a bit rough. At least I think this is a direct pile. At least based on the shelter, 2 shelter, 2 fate, 2. Like, it's pretty likely they're running all 3 copies. I think we're gonna just let them have the. So they're back around to the riches, which I think they saw pretty early. So we should actually see a Blood Follows Blade coming up here pretty soon, I think. But I think we're just gonna try to get aggro. I think we basically need to hold on to all of our cards here. Arakni gold. There's the Raisin Army. Yep. That's concerning. So they have a blue here. We could be in a bit of trouble. And now we do have to block, unfortunately, this turn, which means we're probably having to block the crumble. I think we might just be... No, we're not dead, right? Because we have to throw a tunic counter now in front of this. But yeah, allies are pretty good. So I've heard. So we still have 1 more... Or no, we have 2 more sword swing. Oh no, we're like super dead, right? Yeah, the second sword swing is actually quite rough. I mean, we can't unfortunately block the hot streak here, but yeah, that seemed like a really good turn from them. Yeah, triple Raisin Army might be a bit hard for this deck to beat. I mean, it doesn't really matter how many Raisin Army, it's more so like how many they're able to resolve meaningfully. Yeah, maybe we also should have been trying to like play a bit more towards our like pummels and stuff. Or like our pummel like CNCs. Like, I feel like that's like the best strategy against this deck, right? Is to just try to pummel on a CNC as opposed to like anything else, because like basically like if you just pummel like an icing counter, they can block like 95% of it, as we kind of saw, right? Okay, Blizzard could help us a bit here. But we're still in pretty bad shape. So we can block 3 here. Hope they don't have go again. Do have go again. That's not like the good source of this. I mean, we could also Blizzard. Blizzard 3 block is kind of like the same thing, right? Hmm. Yeah, we're still in pretty rough shape here. Like even though we're like not dying this turn, like I don't think we're just like 1 point off functionally. Maybe we can trick them into thinking we have like the lunging press. That'd be sick tech. But maybe this rouse arsenal was also like not that good. This is fine though. I think we definitely could have been. I think if things lined up a little bit better for this game, it could have been a bit better. We did find at least our Okins, but more likely than not here, they're going to probably have some source to go again to give their cell swords, or to attack with their cell swords. All right, so there's the Gogan source. Could have also tried to hold on to the Blizzard last turn. I don't know if there's really like a reasonable way to do that though. Yeah, I think we're just dead here. Just fine. Two. Oh, excuse me. All right. Assuming we probably have one more swing in us here. Looks like they don't have us yet. I guess we'll play out one more turn and see how it goes. There is like a non-zero chance that they don't draw Go against source, and then they don't have the ability to swing cell swords, and then maybe we like rouse them to death or something. Chances are small, but possible. And funny enough, this is also a hand that can't activate rouse. Oh boy. I feel like maybe the style of deck is just not for me. So how do we win this game? I feel like we win this game by them having like actual nothing. In which case, we should probably block with the crumble, right? Like, assuming they have zero meaningful interaction, that's maybe our best path to victory. We could have like pulsed there, but like I think it's better to try to play towards your out of like they don't actually have anything they can do. I don't know. It's still like surprisingly close for how long they've had 4 allies on the board, but not really that close. Like they're basically just we're kind of just floundering until they find something. It's theoretically possible that they've run out of go again sources, but they still probably should have like at least 1 or 2 more in the deck. Probably have like another hit and run blue at least, and then maybe another like blue Blade Runner, and then probably another precision. Like they have a lot of go again here, I think. And then this will also be a go again source, right? Because we drew a hand which is all actions here. Yeah, I think we're thoroughly cooked here. I think we'll go ahead and give it to them. I'm assuming they're going to be able to convert 2 cards into 2 resources to pitch here. So they got us here, unfortunately. Good game, though. I think maybe with a little bit more practice, we could have actually gotten there. I think if we got to resolve our rouse at some point, we would have also been in a pretty good spot. We did have some pretty good plays. Yeah, I feel like we had some pretty decent turns that game, but I feel like maybe just like we just couldn't push through kind of like the D-React pile here. So let's actually take a look at how many D-Reacts we were on. So we still had a Shelter and a Sink left in the deck. And then I think we were maybe on 2 FaB. Is that correct? So we have, yeah, I think it was just 8 D-Reacts plus the 2 Oasis was maybe the D-React pile this time. But yeah, fun time. Like I still think this deck is like pretty good. I think this is Shoma's deck, right? Because the Double Oasis looks pretty familiar to me. I think I also saw the Heart as well. So yeah, I think this is probably like Shoma's deck list from one of the Battle Hardens, I think, that he won. But anyways, pretty cool deck. Also, Iron Sound Pride, I think the card we talked about last stream. Seemed really pretty good that game, actually, but we didn't manage to fortunately clear it, which is at least nice. All right, so that's probably going to wrap it up for today. So again, a little bit of a different Jarl's kind of style than I'm normally used to playing, but I feel like there's still like a lot of pretty decent merit to this deck, especially if you're playing into a more like red line aggressive meta. The one, like, there are a couple concerns that I definitely have about this deck, like the Gravy and the Cinder matchup the Gravy and the Verdance matchup seem like a little bit suspect, but you can probably, at least against Verdance, you can probably just like pummel them and get there. But against the like Gravy, I don't know, seems like a little bit sketchy, but definitely like doable if you can just get your like Crumble and like Mangles off or Frozen Deaths or whatever. So definitely there's some definitely like merit to this deck. definitely like maybe more of like a. I feel like you get a lot of equity from this list from like your opponents like thinking you're on the more fatigue Jarl list, and then you end up pivoting, or like you're actually just like this completely other different style of Jarl that you maybe have to play like a lot differently into. As we saw, like our opponents fat deck this a lot, which is really cool. So that means like they're running like a more inefficient deck, and we're running like a very efficient game plan, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, this deck's really cool. Again, shout out to Jefferson Winslow, who got top 8 at Battlehard. Again, really cool list. Again, if they post a video at some point doing like a little deck type of breakdown, I'll probably try to link it in the video description, just to give them a chance to talk about it. But yeah, super cool list. Thanks again, Jefferson, for the deck. I thought it was actually kind of a lot of fun to play tonight. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and yeah, I'll see y'all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.